Alright, Conception, you are live and ready to go.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Conception too, and we have in front of us here today Grim Fandango Remastered. I'm very excited to get to showcase this game for y'all at the Calithon Spooktacular. It's going to be a good time. We'll get into it a little bit as we go on the run, so we'll just go ahead and jump right in. All right. Timer will start in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So if you're unfamiliar, Grim Fandango is a point-and-click adventure game. It's developed by LucasArts. Originally, it was developed in the 90s, but they released Double Fine released a remaster of the game in 2015, which is the version that I'm going to be playing on. In terms of gameplay, there's not too much that's different. It's mostly just remastered graphically, but pretty much everything else stays the same here. But what we're going to be experiencing is a story about our main character here. His name is Manny, and he lives currently in the ancient Aztec land of the dead. Oops, sorry about that. Close that out. There we go. Now that means everyone here is dead. Manny is obviously a skeleton. This is Glottis. Glottis is a demon. So yeah, we're just going to encounter a lot of creatures and stuff like this. Manny is also a what is kind of the equivalent of a travel agent in the land of the dead here. So he helps escort people to the afterlife that deserve to go to the afterlife in different fashions. So if they weren't so great in life, they'll get there eventually, but it's going to take them about 4 years, and they have to kind of work at it. But if they were really great in their life, then they can take like a high-class silver bullet train onto the afterlife, where they can be happy and stuff like that. However, Manny is noticing that even some of his good clients, for whatever reason, they are just not getting that good travel package. They're just getting, you know, kind of the raw end of the deal, and he's starting to wonder if there's somebody out there against him. And he's gonna quickly discover that that is the case. All right, so we get to go outside here, and because this is pretty much every time we get to play, we're gonna play across all 4 years that I've mentioned so far. Every time that we get to play is basically going to be the Day of the Dead in each of the 4 years. So today is the Day of the Dead, which is why there's a party going on out here. We are going to grab 3 different balloons here. One of them is shaped like a cat, and 2 of them are shaped like a dead worm, which are basically just deflated balloons. Those are all going to be important later. All right. We grab this bread, which will also be important later. All right. So you're probably kind of wondering what's going on. So this, like I said, this is a point-and-click adventure game. Basically, what we're doing is we're solving puzzles as fast as we can. Every part of the game has a puzzle obstacle that we need to solve as quickly as we can. So you're gonna notice that I'll be grabbing items as early as I can most of the time. So a lot of the items that I'm grabbing are actually not puzzles that I'm going to solve until later into the year, but this is the fastest time to grab them, so I'm going to get it out of the way. All right. There we go. All right, excellent. So obviously this fits excellently into the spooky aesthetic of the event, so I was very happy that this got into it. It also hasn't been showcased at too many marathons, despite it being an excellent game. I know a lot of people have kind of a nostalgia feel for it if they played it when they were kids or things like that. I know I unfortunately didn't play it as a kid, but I have played it quite a bit now since the remaster. And if you haven't picked this game up in general, it is a great story. So I highly suggest people play it whenever they can. All right. In terms of speed tech, there's actually a few things going on here. So you're going to notice one thing is that we have dialogue, but there's not any voice lines. There's just text. And that is by speedrun design. We turn all of our dialogue off. in terms of voice lines, because it saves us probably across the run close to maybe like a minute and a half, I would say, because there are a few cutscenes that we can't skip. We could skip pretty much most of them, but there are a few that we can't skip at all. So for those, it's faster to just have the text go onto the screen than the voice line in the text, because as soon as the voice line completes on the screen, it'll move on to the next line. However, if we had voice lines equipped, then it would have to wait until the character completes the dialogue. So it's quite a bit faster. All right, so this is where they unpack coffins rather, and then if they need to ship out coffins to other parts of the land of the dead, then they will. Oops. So what I'm doing is those 2 balloons that I grabbed earlier, I'm filling with various packing materials, and we're going to be sabotaging the mailroom by putting them down the mail chute. That is because we need to see if we could get some secret mail, figure out what's going on at the agency here. And in terms of speed tech, so you're going to notice that a lot of there's a few different things that are pretty key, which are one thing that is really key in terms of speed tech is that anytime that there's a transition point, meaning I'm going from one room one scene into another scene, I'm not just clicking through it to walk through it, because you might have noticed that sometimes when we transition, there are parts in which, for whatever reason, Manny will walk through it, then there's like a 2 or 3, like a 2-second delay, and then we will eventually gain control. I don't know why that is, but if we double click on it to run through, but then we also do what I call tanking through, which is to hold the directional buttons on the keyboard at the same time, he will skip that animation where he has to like wait a few seconds before he has inputs. There we go. It's open. All right. And right here, actually, based on, so you might have saw there that I picked up the fire extinguisher, and then I went to like kind of talk to this middle of this mailroom section, but I put the fire extinguisher as I was walking, and that actually skips a little bit of a cutscene that we wouldn't be able to skip normally, which is where the that worker would have like caught on fire and things like that, and we would have to have dealt with it, but now we don't have to. We skipped a little bit. All right, pretty good. This card we used all the way back at the beginning. All right, this person that is in our office right now is Meche, and this is kind of Manny's inspiration for the run here. What Manny is going to be doing for the entire length of the run is that Meche is a very good person, did a lot in her life to deserve to get the very best class service. So she should be going, express train to the afterlife, but she didn't. She got the worst possible package, and Manny just doesn't know why. So he sends her on her way with that worst package because that's what it's designed to do. But he's gonna spend his entire afterlife himself trying to get Meche over to the afterlife because that's what she deserves. So she's kind of our muse in a way. All right, so we're actually sneaking into a coworker's office here, and we're gonna grab 2 different things here, which is a trophy from his little desk there. And then we're gonna hit this punching bag 3 times, which is gonna knock down his mouth guard. That would be very important. All right, and another key piece of speed tech that goes into running this game at the fastest level is that we are always going to be trying to double click on transition points, which will cause Manny to run. And then if we have to take out an item to use shortly, we'll want to take it out while the running animation is going on. Otherwise, Manny will stop, take it out, and then continue moving. But if we double click onto the transition, he will take it out while continuously moving, and that saves us minutes over the run with how many objects we have to deal with. So it's very, very important to do that, or else we're just going to be losing time left and right. So here's a good example. I need to use the balloon here. So I took it out while I was running after I double clicked on a transition point. Oops, there we go. And then I was able to take it out while moving as opposed to stopping, taking it out, then moving. This is an unskippable cutscene where we have some skeleton pigeons going to scare themselves. So if we happen to have any donations or any plugs, now is a great time for that.
Alright, well, I'll remind everyone then that the California Fire Foundation is a registered 501c3 organization, and that means that donations are tax deductible, and moreover, some employers may even match your donations. 100% of your donations will be going to helping out the firefighters of the state of California and their families. It's a great cause.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I actually checked in with my employer as well to see, so it's always worth checking. You never know sometimes. Alright. So another little subplot that's going on in the story here is that there is kind of this underground resistance organization that is kind of aware of all the nefarious deeds that are going on here. And they're working to stop it, and they've recruited Manny because Manny has been wronged, so they assume that Manny wants to take care of it as well, which they are right. Oops, there we go. There we go. So that it's literally underground in the building, in the same building is where the headquarters is. So we're actually working to help them out currently. However, to get into the computers, they need some dental records of an employee, and luckily Manny fits that bill still, despite being recently fired. He's still in the system. Oops. There we go. All right, so finally this resistance group is going to help us escape. Obviously, we were meant to be trapped. We were locked in that room. We are not trapped. We are escaping out to the forest, and with help from Glottis. If you remember Glottis at the beginning, he's kind of our getaway driver here. And he's going to help us get out, but we have to, we kind of crash land in this forest, and Glottis loses his heart, which is like half machine and half demon, I guess you would say. So we have to kind of get through the forest. We're going to be picking up several bones here, which will be very important for later. So we're picking up 3 and pocketing them, and then we're going to pick up a 4th here, and then this is how we're going to get the heart off the web. And you don't get to see the animation because I always skip it, but the scythe that Manny has here, because he is like a Grim Reaper kind of, it collapses. You can kind of see it here. So I always thought that was really cool. I don't know, but almost every time that we can skip it, we will. Like that, for example, since that was part of a cutscene, I couldn't skip it. But anytime we pull it out outside of a cutscene, we'll be skipping it. So. All right, so Glottis is good to go, and this brings up a good point. So as I mentioned, this run is broken up into 4 different gears. So we're getting close to finishing year 1 here, and coincidentally, I think, or it could be on purpose, I'm not sure, but there is an instance of RNG, of heavy RNG, once in every year, and this is the one for year 1, is right here. You're gonna see here that there's this puzzle here with this kind of like metal tree, for lack of a better term. And what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be using that wheelbarrow, running over the wires to make it so that it is even on both sides, which will cause the tree to rock the most and make it the most unstable, so we can open the path and get on by. This could go really fast. It could take a few seconds. It just depends on the good cycles that I get of those little gears that are moving on the side. They're kind of pinching open and closed. So hopefully we can get a good cycle and get through it fast. One. Almost. There we go. So yeah, not the best cycle, unfortunately, but that's okay. Marathon luck, you know? All right, so we're gonna hop out of the car here. You might have seen earlier in an animation that Glass accidentally ran into the sign, which is great because we need it loosened up for the next part here. I need to pull it out of the ground. Now this is normally a puzzle where you have to go across this whole room that's coming up here and figure out where you need to place the sign in order for the secret to open up. Luckily, it's the same every time. So you just have to go directly to the spot that it's supposed to go, and then you're good to go. You don't have to figure it out puzzle-wise. All right, so we're gonna grab this key here, and then after we grab this key, you'll get another instance of optimal kind of movement as it goes with picking up an item. This time, what we do is what we call item sliding. So he's gonna pick up this key, and then I'm going to quickly go to the next transition. As you can see, he's running, and now he's putting away the item as he's walking, as opposed to, again, stopping, putting it away, and then continuing to walk. All right, so we have a slightly unskippable, like, full motion video cutscene here with these beavers. We can't skip it, only takes a second though. What we have to do with these beavers, they like eating bones. So as you recall, we picked up bones earlier. What we're gonna do is we're gonna throw them into this, I don't know, goo pit, oil pit, I don't know what it is. We're gonna throw them in there, they're gonna chase them, and we're going to use our handy dandy fire extinguisher that we got a long time ago. And voila, they're done. Now we get to do that 3 times. Since this takes a bit, and there's not too much to see in terms of tech or anything, if there is any other plugs or donations, now's a great time as well.
Alright, I will then remind everyone that we do have upcoming bid wars and incentives. The soonest one coming up is for Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, where you can pick either the blue or the red tunic. So blue is ahead, but if you want to see red win, then there's a chance for that. And then we also have an incentive to meet a special cutscene in Silent Hill 3, where Claudia ingests God. Sounds gross, but it's spooky weekend, so you might want to see it and get your donations in for that.
Excellent. Yeah, let's get those bid wars met. Everyone wants to see extra content, so let's get that done. I also realized during that point that I never explained that I am in fact wearing a costume. You might have recognized it, you might not have. I'm attempting to be Hopper from season 3 of Stranger Things. I was gonna do like a Grim Reaper kind to, you know, go in line with the run, but I didn't have anything to assist with that, so I kind of just pulled whatever I could out of the closet. Hopefully that's all right.
Hopper is a great character. Shoot that.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't love Hopper, right? And the Hawaiian shirt is kind of iconic, so.
It really is.
Okay, so we have escaped the forest, and this is getting ready to be the very end of the first year here. We're in an area called Rubalcaba, which is actually where the entirety of year 2 takes place, but you'll see that it has a pretty big transition. It's going to look a lot different here in a few moments, but we just have to have a reason for us to stay here for a year until Meche shows up, because she is sent on her way and we're looking for her. So what Manny's gonna end up doing is taking a job at this cafe while we wait for Meche. And he's gonna be there for about a year, but you'll notice after the year, it's not so much a cafe anymore. So that we are now in year 2. And this is the same Rubikava. It's turned into more of like a casino kind of town. Kind of like a Vegas for the land of the dead, if you will. Now, Manny owns a small casino, but there is a much bigger casino that we will see here shortly. A fun thing to note is that the game is not ultimately super stable in terms of skipping cutscenes. It's actually pretty easy to soft lock the game if you try to skip through cutscenes too fast. So that makes for kind of an interesting mechanic. So for example, that cutscene that took place there, that I just skipped, if I had pressed the escape button, which is how you skip through cutscenes in this game, too early, I would have skipped the cutscene. However, I would have to have hit it later, and then it would have just soft locked my game because I wouldn't know where to go after that. Because you're meant to go in a very specific sequence. You'll also notice somewhere sometimes, and you saw it there for a second, you'll probably see it again later on. More specifically, sometimes my head will just disappear, and there's no real reason why. But I guess it happens to the best of us. All right. And here's where you'll get to see an excellent view of how different Rubikava is from when we started to where it is. So this is the cafe that we went into at the very beginning. As you can see, it says Calavera Cafe, and that's Manny's last name, so there's some growth there, but you'll see it as we head down here. Not so much a cafe as it is a little mini casino, as it turns out. So, in terms of what's going on, we have a tip that Meche has crossed through, and she's actually made her way through Rubikava here, and she's on a ship heading for another area. So Manny is trying to get his way onto a ship to follow her, but there's a lot that we need to do in Rubikava in order to make that happen. First, we have to join the Maritime Union, so we have to be allowed to go on the ship, and also the captain doesn't have space for us. So what has to happen is Glottis has to work. So we have to get Glottis some tools to work on the ship while we're on it. And then we also have to make it so one of the sailors doesn't show up for work so that we can take his spot instead. So there's a lot that's happening here. All right, grab this. So this is gonna be important for later. This it's like a bottle of Goldschlager kind of, which if you're not familiar is an alcohol that has like actual gold flakes in it. That's gonna be very important for later. And this is going to lend itself to the problem, to the issue of Glottis has kind of an issue with drinking. Little dark, I suppose, but yeah, he's got a bit of a drinking problem. He's a bit of a lush, so we get this VIP card to like the High Rollers Casino, basically. And he is off to the races. He's like, all right, I'm gonna go take that, and I'm gonna go have some fun. There we go. Come on. I don't know why it's not going fast. There you go. All right, we're actually going to take out that bottle of Goldschlager I mentioned before in advance. So we're getting ready to use it. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be interacting with our friend who is a security guard for the casino on like the upper floors. We have to cross through a metal detector. And it sounds weird, but we actually want to get in trouble with the metal detector because the security guard here has kind of like a crush on us, so she wants an excuse to like have to search us. And we need to get close to her so we can get her handheld metal detector. It's gonna be very important for later. So we quickly take a swig of that bottle, So we have the gold flakes inside of our system. And then voila, we are gonna have trouble making it through the metal detector. I actually feel kind of bad because she's a very sweet person. There's actually an achievement in the game to like make her cry with like your conversation. And it always makes me sad because she's a very sweet person and I don't want to hurt her feelings. But we have to do it for speed. Speed is important too. All right. So as you can see, she was frustrated with us, rightfully so, and she threw the metal detector out of the window. So this is part of the casino, which is a track for racing animals. Now you might think racing animals, probably horses or dogs, right? But in this world, it's giant cats. Come on, Manny. There we go. We don't get to see the giant cats themselves, but what we do get to see is the litter box of the giant cats, which is right here. And coincidentally, that is where our metal detector fell. There we go. So what we're doing is we're trying to figure out where in the litter the metal detector fell with the end of our scythe, and then we just pick it up with our scythe. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what happens. There's another instance of item sliding there. And then we're gonna head into the VIP section of the lounge here now that we have access to it. And you can see there GLaDOS is up top. And this is the cutscene I was alluding to before, where we cannot skip it at all. However, with text speed turned to fast and then voice lines turned off, this conversation alone saves 30 seconds. Else we would have had to listen to both Manny and his name is Nick continue their conversation repeatedly. And we have to wait for their voice lines to finish. Now we can just wait for the text to finish, which saves a lot of time. And my theory as to why we can't skip this cutscene is, as you can see there, he has a cigarette case and a little key fell out of it. And I think we can't skip this because the player needs to see that there's a key in there, which is obviously very important. We're gonna need that key. So I think that's the only reason why we can't skip this cutscene at all. All right, there we are. So that's part one, the longer part of the conversation, and we actually have to talk to him again in order to get up to leave the table so we can take a cigarette case. There we are. There's some extra lore that's going on here. Nick is kind of a scumbag. He's a lawyer, but he's a scumbag. He is having kind of like this, he's in love with his boss's like girlfriend. So that's going to create problems for Nick. We kind of use that as blackmail in order to get him to do what we need. It doesn't quite go so well at the beginning, but it'll come back for us later. So we got a cigarette case, which is the important part. And then here we're going to have a little bit of a waiting game. So we got to do a couple things first. First, we're going to open this cupboard, which actually triggers an off-screen event. And now we just need to wait for that event to take fruition. So if we have any other plugs or donations or anything like that, for a quick one, now's a good time.
I do actually have a quick donations. We got $18.21 from Anonymous saying round number get. And with that, we are at exactly 3,000 raised for the California Fire Foundation. Thank you so much.
Wow, 3,000. Excellent work, everybody. Thank you so much for those donations. Let's keep them coming. As you can see there, we had the waiter walk in there. And we locked him in there. And it's not the waiter's fault that we had to do that. It's actually GLaDOS's fault. GLaDOS keeps getting served by the waiter in glasses, which is exactly what the waiter is supposed to do. But what we do by locking the waiter in there is that GLaDOS gets frustrated. And oops, I tried to skip that cutscene too early. And Eventually we skip the whole cutscene where it happens. He comes and just takes the whole barrel. And then now that the barrel is empty, we can go down to the cellar where the empty barrels go. All right, so now we're going to be entering a secret compartment here. So we're going to line up this forklift as such, very specifically as close to this button as we can and turned around. It's very important because we wouldn't have time to do it while the elevator's in motion. And we have to very specifically get this while the elevator is going up, because you cannot get it while it's going down. So we have to line this up carefully. You'll see there's a hole in the wall coming up. Ooh, I got stuck. So yeah, that's what happens. So now, unfortunately, we have to have the elevator go back down and back up again. That wastes about 30 seconds, unfortunately. Actually, there's no point in getting back in, really, but that's fine. I'll just exit. So what we need to do is we need to shove the forklift into the slot in the fence where the hole is, in order to get it stuck. The reason why you can't do it going down is that it won't make it so that you can access the hole. For whatever reason. Well, I mean, that's just physics, right? So like, if the elevator is moving in a different direction, it won't really help you. We're gonna try this again. It's actually a little bit precise. There we go, I got it that time. So that's exactly what we needed to do. So now we got the forklift stuck there. We can actually use the lever of the forklift to lift it down. There we go. All right. So there we go. We lost some time there, unfortunately, but that's quite all right. We'll be okay. I was actually telling the person that I was setting up with, since I submitted this game, there has actually been significant developments in both the route and the settings that we use on the game, which make the game quite a bit faster. So my estimate is an hour 20, but I have the second place time on the leaderboard with an hour and 7 minutes. So right now I'm on pace for roughly like an hour and 9 minutes. So we should still be plenty ahead. Not a problem. So this is Charlie. Charlie is the person that gave us the VIP card near the beginning of year 2 here, if you recall. Okay, so we're using the cigarette case that we got at Nick's here, and we're unfortunately manipulating this poor security guard again, telling her that we found it under her desk and that it's very suspicious, so that she'll blow it up in the little bomb shelter so we can get the key, because it's under a locked compartment in the cigarette case. We can't just pick it out ourselves. Can't stress enough how this woman is a delight, and we just use her, and I feel terrible about it. But for the sake of going fast, we gotta do it, I suppose. Alright, so we're actually taking a different route, which is we're going across the stairs here. I'm gonna actually put away that key for right now. We're gonna use that key shortly, but not quite. All right, we're actually gonna take out this turkey baster that we grabbed earlier. We're gonna need that. That's gonna be very important for later, but not for now. Now we're gonna take out the key again. There we go. And the key is gonna unlock this lighthouse for us. All right, here we go. And these are the worker bees. Now worker bees are wanting to go on strike because their workers' rights aren't really being met. So we give them a handbook in order to learn about their rights a little bit more. And then they kind of get motivated to go on strike. And why that is important is because, like we said, Glottis needs to work on the boat, but he needs tools. And Glottis is going to be using the tools from the worker bees in order for us to get on the boat. All right. So this is a little bit of a longer cutscene where we found a coat check tag that we need to grab the coat of, and there's going to be a hidden note in there. So it takes a little bit. If we have a quick donation or a plug, now is a great time for it too.
Alright, I will then quickly mention that the California Fire Foundation run the Firefighter Memorial Service in Sacramento every year to honor fallen firefighters. So again, it's a fantastic cause that your donations go towards.
Thank you so much. Hopefully I'm not keeping you too much on your toes. I know.
No, you're good.
We have a lot of little breaks in the run. No huge breaks because we skip every major cutscene, but lots of little breaks. So whenever we can, I always like to hear some words about the Fire Foundation or catch any quick donations if we can. So. All right. So what we're gonna do now, so we've made great progress in most of the steps, which are, we now have the Maritime Union card, which is great, because we gave Charlie his suitcase, which is what he was looking for. We don't know what was in the suitcase, something suspicious. It'll come into play later, but we gave him a suitcase. So we have the Maritime Union card. That's one of the 3 things we needed. The second thing is we need Glottis to have tools to get on the boat, which we're working on. It's not fully done because the bee didn't drop his tools that you would have seen in a cutscene. He actually got arrested for protesting. So we need to get him out of jail before we can get his tools. But we've made progress. And the third thing we need to do is we need to make sure one of the sailors doesn't show up for work, which is exactly what we're doing now. So this sailor is getting a tattoo. And we're gonna make it so he doesn't show up for work. So that turkey baster full of questionable liquid that I gathered from the bar earlier, we're gonna put it in there. That's gonna make him pass out. Also, don't ask me. I can't tell if it would be more or less painful to get a tattoo directly on your bone. But I would imagine it'd be pretty painful, or not painful at all because they don't really have nerves. So I don't know. A little bit of both. However, so you would think that this would be the end of the plan, right? We got him knocked out, it's fine. However, the tattoo artist calls the captain and says, "Hey, I got your boy passed out here. I'll make sure he wakes up in the morning for work." So it's not quite good enough. We need to make it so he doesn't show up for work at all, basically. And the way we're going to do that is a little bit morbid, but it's one of the last things that we do in year 2. Year 2 is by far the longest year, by like a couple minutes, and then years 3 and 4 are actually pretty short in terms of speed run, especially. There's another head glitch for you. There we go. Now Manny's head is back. I don't know why that happens sometimes. There's not a real explanation for it. Okay, so we're using this betting slip machine that was actually given to us by Charlie at the beginning of year 2. Now, I inputted a very specific code there, which you would learn through like research and when actually doing a casual playthrough. Luckily, like other things, it's the same every time, so I don't have to like learn about it. As long as I know the code, I can just make the betting slip that I need. So that saves us quite a chunk of time there, story-wise. right, so we got our betting slip. We turn in our betting slip rather, and it gives us a kind of a scandalous photo of Nick and his boss's girlfriend in cahoots, we'll say. And that is enough proof that needed for Nick to get us on our side. And what Nick is going to do, since Nick is a lawyer, is he's going to get our worker bee friend out of jail so he can get his tools. So that'll be those steps complete. So now we will have our maritime card, and our worker bee friend is now out of jail, so we'll have his tools. So that'll be good to go. We just have to make sure that that we can get on the ship, making sure Naran doesn't show up, which is the name of the other sailor. So if you recall, when he passed out, we actually picked up his dog tags. So that's going to come into play here. Another instance of item sliding there. We're actually taking out the metal detector as we're moving, which is going to save us a little bit of time here. This is the morgue. Now you probably have questions, and that makes sense. This is a morgue for dead people when we're already dead. So how does that work exactly? As you can see here, they're kind of like turned into grass. And basically, if there's a special type of fertilizer that when mixed with bones, like it makes you grow into a shrub instead of a animated skeleton, more or less. And the gangsters of the universe here will use that as like ammunition in their guns. So what we're doing now is that since there's two dead bodies here that this mortician is trying to identify, we give the mortician the metal detector to help identify the bodies. We take Naranja's dog tags and we throw them onto the corpse so that the mortician thinks that that is Naranja, who is dead. A little bit morbid, I'll be honest. But yep, so now he thinks Naranja is dead. The captain assumes that Naranja is not going to show up at all because obviously he's dead. So now we have a free spot on the boat.
Hey, if it works, it works.
It works. And like I said, they were already dead once, so like I guess don't feel so bad. But yeah, it's a little bit morbid. Manny does what it takes. All right, and as I mentioned before, there is one instance of RNG, of heavy RNG in every year, and the instance of RNG in year 2 is the very, very end of year 2, with the last motion. There is, in our casino, there's a cheater. And the way he's cheating is he's using a magnet on a roulette table in order for it to get the results that he wants. And we're going to turn off the magnet in order to progress to year 3. So we can get lucky on a cycle where we can activate it right away and it'll just be good to go. We got a pretty quick cycle, but not the quickest. You can get it right away. I had to wait 1 cycle of the roulette table in order for it to work. It's not the quickest, but not the slowest. All right, so now we're in year 3. We're on the boat. We are caught by one of our co-workers all the way back from the agency at the beginning. His name is Domino. We're kind of mixed up with him right now. He caught our ship and he chained us down, and we're gonna try and make our way out here. So we have to figure out while on the ship how we're gonna get out. So what we did is we moved our boat over to the right so that the 2 anchors that are weighing us down are at a slant. Then I pressed the button to raise the anchor a few times and actually hooked the 2 anchors together, as you can see. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna hook the anchor to the ship itself. And then we're gonna pull on the switch on the other side of the anchor so it literally rips the ship in half. Questionable physics maybe, but that's how we get out. All right, now we are good. The ship is ripped in half. We just got to get out of here. All right, so it is just, there's something here that is not hard whatsoever, but if I miss it, it loses so much time. So let me just focus on it for a second. All right, good. All right, so there's this, as you can see, there's this person with a light on their head, and we need that light to get by, right? Now, however, if I somehow miss the trigger to talk to him in the cutscene, he has to walk all the way around again to be able to talk to him. And him taking that cycle all the way around the ship and back takes like 45 seconds. So just wanted to make sure that I hit that, because I did not want to have to wait for 45 seconds for no reason. All right, so there's a big octopus in the submarine here that just has their eye on us. I'm trying to figure out how we can get around it, because we're trying to escape from the grasp of our friend Domino here, but somehow this octopus is linked. We're gonna figure out why here shortly. So weirdly, to progress the story, we actually have to get caught there. And the way we get caught is that our friend gets trapped in like a little like sea anemone thing there. So the octopus catches us and takes us to Domino's lair under the sea. You would think, why am I not moving right now? And I couldn't tell you why I'm not able to move, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's just like this long cutscene that oops, there we go. Long, like, no motion scene that I can't deal with. All right. So we got to figure out our way to get out of this prison that we've been put in, this prison island. So we're gonna tease these little angel kids, so that he throws a hammer at us, a mini hammer. Oh my gosh, can't pick it up. There we go. That'll be important for later. And now we are instantly into the next part of RNG for year 3 here, and this is the one that can waste the most time. And it is this cycle. So what we need is we need to make it so that Meche here, and this is Meche, by the way, from the very beginning of the story. She is Domino ends up capturing her basically. We got like the worst luck, of course, for the marathon. Let's see. Okay, actually not too bad. That was second cycle, so we'll take it. We need her to accidentally drop the ashes onto her stockings because we need the stockings. And you can get that in one cycle by turning the ashtray. But I've had it go as many times as like 9 or 10 cycles without me getting it. So we got second cycle, which is not too bad, but I was hoping to get first cycle to get some good RNG, but not lucky. All right, so now we do some basic item trading with our friend that we just made under the sea here. We're gonna trade him 2 things. We're gonna give him the little hammer that we got, and he's gonna give us that big drill. Seems like a fair trade, right? And then we're gonna take out the stockings that we just got, and he's gonna give us a gun. Again, seems like a fair trade, right?
Seems fair to me.
Yep. Yep, I think all of that equates in value. No one look up the conversion rates or anything. All right.
Here, what good's a relationship?
All right, so there we go. Unfortunately, so Domino thinks that we're colluding with Meche. So what he does is he locks her in this vault, which is fine because now we have a big drill thing. And we're gonna get her out of this vault. So we open up the hinge, put away the drill, and then we have a little puzzle that we have to solve here, where we have to turn the gears so that they're all open on one side. And we actually got decent RNG on that. Actually, I'm gonna try that. That might work. Let's see if it works. Yeah, wow, that was excellent RNG. Maybe the best I've ever had on that puzzle, which is actually really cool. Basically, you have to turn all of the gears so that they're open on one side, so you can slide the end of your scythe in there. And then keep it locked open, and then you just turn and open the door. All right, so we put away the scythe. We're gonna pick up this heavy axe. And then we want it specifically over this one spot. Hopefully right there is good. I think that's fine. Yes, okay. Because we want to, basically the axe is so heavy that it breaks the floorboard, and we need it to open up that hole in the ground. And as you can see over there on the left, we got a bunch of red suitcases, which look a lot like the suitcase that we grabbed for Charlie. Now we get to see what's in them. And what's in them are these golden tickets. And what those golden tickets do is they are the Class A tickets, which means the highest level for the people who are good in this world to take that silver bullet train to the afterlife. And why are they hoarding Class A tickets? Why aren't they going to the people who deserve them, right? That's the question. What is Domino doing with all these tickets? Who knows? But we have rescued Meche, and what we need to accomplish in this one is we need to rescue Meche, find Glottis, and then get a boat out of here. We got Meche done. We're working on the boat. And we actually, so we're gonna drop that that crane bucket there, take out our handy dandy like mechanical, I don't know, pickaxe for lack of a better term. I don't know what you call it, like a drill of sorts. We're gonna separate the bucket from the chain because we need the chain. However, we're gonna skip the animation so we never see the bucket separate from the chain, but you're just gonna have to trust me that it is. Because it is. But if we had done the full animation, you would see that they are separated. But for whatever reason, if you skip that animation, you don't see them separate. Oops. Man, I overmatched on skipping those cutscenes. Go. So now we're on the other side of the map. Basically, we use the crane as a way to like move around the map faster. And then we dropped the chain into like this gutter, for lack of a better term. And this is how we're going to get the boat up. There's a boat at the end of this gutter, and you'll see the anchor here in a second. Right there. So we're going to press this lever in order to switch the current repeatedly. So we switched the current to get the chain all the way down here. We switched it back to kind of tangle it up, and now the third time on the tangle up, it's going to hook around the anchor. So now that it's hooked around the anchor, we're gonna pull the chain up, which will get the boat out for us. And coincidentally, Glottis is working on that very boat, so we actually don't need to do anything in order to save Glottis, which is nice. We just need to pull up the boat. All right, and this is actually the end of year 3 already. And year 4. So we're already on the year 4 of 4. So we're already getting close to the end of the run here. Year 3 is by far the shortest, and year 4 is decently short as well. So this is actually where the train goes that takes you to the afterlife. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to get Meche, myself, and Glottis all on that train. But we don't have tickets, so we need to figure out a way to get tickets. There we go. So we pick up a mug here that has some of that packing fumes in it from before. And you're gonna find that that's pretty explosive. As we take a rag, dip it in gasoline, and then put it in a toaster. Seems like a good idea, right?
Do not do this at home.
Nope. Cannot suggest enough that you do not try this at home. Not only will that happen, your toaster catches fire, right? Which is bad enough. But then look at the intended results, which is that your mug full of flammable stuff is just going to fly around the room, which you also don't want. So this is going to look a little bit familiar here. So we need to figure out a way to get tickets in order to get on the train, which means we need to do a little bit of backtracking. We're now back in Rubikava in hopes that to figure out a way to get tickets. We're actually not meant to stop here story-wise, but our rocket car makes it to Rubikava and then stalls, and we have to figure out a way to get it. Actually, no, that's not true. We take a train cart that is rocket fueled to Rubikava so that we can get our rocket car to go back to our office that we were at the very beginning of the game. But unfortunately, our car is like wired to bombs or something like that. So it's not so easily accessible. We got to figure out a way to step across it without activating any traps. And if we just walked in as normal, all these dominoes would fall over and we would hit the fuse, which would blow up the car, which we don't want to do. So we need to figure out a way to get across the dominoes without knocking any of them over. Luckily, we're not going to be here too long because it's a pretty easy solution. Grab our ship in a bottle here. Oops, there we go. Overshot it, there we go. Now there's this liquid here. Kind of like an alcoholic lemonade, is for lack of a better term. I don't really know what else I would call it. We're gonna fill our ship in the bottle up with that. Seems like a good drinking vessel. And then we're gonna go take it back to our good friend Glaz, who canonically, obviously, is a lush. So we're gonna see how that turns out. Now we're gonna skip the cutscene basically, but basically what happens is he gets it, he chugs it, and he just like runs around all over the place like he's on like a sugar rush or something. But all that activity mixed with all of the alcohol is not gonna be too good for him, as you're just about to see. Kind of makes him throw up. So now, but he throws up in the room where all the where the rocket car is with all the dominoes. So now there's this layer of like alcoholic lemonade, purple alcoholic lemonade on the ground, for lack of a better term. And it didn't disturb the dominoes. And what we're gonna do is we're going to freeze it with some liquid nitrogen we picked up from the tattoo shop. So now we can walk across this sheet of ice in order to defuse the bomb. And now we're actually back in our headquarters. From all the way at the beginning of the game. All right. There's a lot going on in this little room here. So we just sent a pigeon off, basically to the head of the resistance, so to know that we have made it back safely and that we're trying to get tickets out of here. He's going to help us, and then we have some help from other resistance members to figure it out as well. Right now we're in the kind of underbelly, the sewers of the area of the building that was once a travel agency and is now again a casino. I don't know what it is with casinos in this game, but there's a lot of casinos going on. both in Rubikava and now in our old place of employment. I guess because, you know, rich people have money to gamble is the concept. I think they're just greedy. All right, so we need a disguise in order to get in the casino because everyone knows what Manny looks like. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up this pot of coffee, go to the top, and then pour it down so that these two people cannot be in the casino's like floor play, like dance show, I guess. And because of that, they're gonna need people's help. So we're going to get decked out in that makeup that they have on their face, which will help, which is like part one of our disguise. It'll get us in the door, but it won't get us all the way through. All right, so you might have seen before there was a dead body in that room. We actually skipped a cutscene where that person came in, shot, and then kind of like turned into the bush that I was telling you folks about earlier. We actually took his hand because it's the only part of him that's like survived, and now we have it in this grinder, which is going to be very important for us later. Again, seems a little bit morbid, but Manny does what he has to do, you know. He does what he's got to do. We're gonna head back down here. Obviously we got our face makeup on now. I'm gonna pull that bone grinder out again and see if we can get this fast. It's not RNG, it's just a precise location. We need to... Nope, I overshot it slightly, seems. Yeah, there it is. We need to find like his path. Oh, disappearing head again. There we go. Which we do by sprinkling the fertilizer sprinkled on the ground. Sorry, I focused a little extra on that part. That is one of the biggest parts that you could soft lock the game if you move a little bit too fast. So for whatever reason, you need to take out the remote control for the car that controls the hydraulics. For whatever reason, it instead of just taking it out automatically like it does with everything else, it goes into like your physical inventory and to like scroll to it. I don't really know why. It there, but if you try to hop out of the car while still in your inventory, you soft lock the game very easily. But wanted to make sure that I just timed that out well. But basically, yeah, we were following somebody who, hello, thank you, who had that fertilizer stuff sprinkled on the ground, and we just combined it with the bone dust to kind of follow their trail. You're meant to do it like all the way across, so you know exactly where they're going, but as long as you hit the last one, then it'll progress the story for you. And it leads us to this florist, who is on the hideout from the big boss guy, but once we pluck the thing off his bell, he just assumes that we're a customer, and he willingly gives us a gun with that fertilizer ammo. Hey, disappearing head again. Oh, it's back. Yeah, a lot of weird little visual glitches here. All right, so now we're getting very close to the end of the run here. Pretty close, actually. All right, so up we go. Now, like I said, our face paint will get us in the door, but it won't get us up to meet the big boss, which is where we need to go to figure out what's going on with the tickets. And try and get wrestle some from him because he's like an evildoer. So that guard is blocking the door, but he won't let us up yet. So we need to get a good outfit as well. So what we're gonna do is an extended trick sequence where we're going to throw this over our good friend Charlie from the beginning. And then we're going to talk to our secret friend over here, who is going to cheat the slot machines so that by the time that Charlie gets out, he will think that he won the slots, and then they can head on over to their toga party. He didn't want to go to the toga party yet because he wasn't successful on the slot machine. So this guy, he's going to cheat the slots for him. And then by the time Charlie gets out of the sheet, he'll be like, oh, look at all this money I won. Time to go to the party. That means that, of course, Charlie will go into the bathroom and change into the toga. And, you know, as any normal person would, they'll just leave their clothes in the bathroom. So we're going to go take his clothes so he can wear his suit. Also, if you notice, Charlie's significantly smaller than us, so I don't imagine the suit would fit well, but it seems to fit pretty well when we get into it, so... A lot of stretching of the imagination here. But we are playing as a skeleton, so I guess that's par for the course. So actually coming up next is the RNG point of year 4. And it is just purely based on if we get a good number or not. We need to guess the correct number for a question that the bodyguard is going to ask us. The answer will be on a like roulette table or like bingo screen behind us. And I'm just gonna focus on that so I can get the right number. We want it to be as low as possible, but if it's a high number, that's bad RNG. Yeah, we got bad RNG. It's 20. Yeah, we got the pretty much the worst RNG there, unfortunately. Well, I mean, I guess not the worst because it could have been like 30, but we got pretty bad RNG, unfortunately. It could have been like 4, which we wouldn't have had to scroll for at all. But yeah, basically, like I said, the answers to the questions are on the screen behind us. Basically, it'll show the screen once, and then he'll ask the question, it'll show the screen again, and whatever number is added to the screen is the answer. And obviously you want the number to be low so you don't have to scroll through the options that much. We got pretty bad RNG. So basically every RNG cycle that we got for this run was middling to bad, which is unfortunate, but what are you gonna do? Marathon luck.
Gotta love marathon luck, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But this is the big boss. His name is Hector Le Mans. He's kind of like the mob boss, if you will. And now he has trapped us up on the roof, but that's not going to be a problem for us because we got stuff. So we're going to use our bone grinder thing there. We're going to combine it with our fertilizer ammunition, which is going to cause fast growth in the crack of the sign, which will cause it to fall over. Voila. And we're just going to climb the ladder and get to the sign where there's a suitcase with all the tickets. It was thrown up there in the cutscene. Oops. By Hector Le Mans. Sorry, I went back into big picture mode. If you press escape, if you mash the skip cutscene button in conjunction with the skip text button and you do it too close together, it will just exit into Steam's big picture mode for whatever reason. This game is quite a bit finicky with its controls, as you can see. But this is actually the last scene of the game, so we're approaching the very end. Alright, so here we are. Gotta open the door. Alright, so in the cutscene, what happened there is we actually got shot, but we had a little bit of liquid nitrogen there, which like cauterizes the wound basically for a skeleton. As opposed to like heating the wound, we just freeze it. Alright. Alright, so we skipped a cutscene there, but basically that was the head of like the resistance boss, if you remember him. So his head was there, but his body's gone. Basically, we take out the henchman so that there's a suitcase full of the tickets there. But we find out here that tickets are kind of like tied to the person that they belong to. So this is actually our resistance boss's body that our ticket is like drawing us to. So we need to find out where it is so that we can get the key to the trunk, so that we can get a gun to take out the boss. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Luckily, as with a lot of other parts of the run, the body's in the same spot every time, so as long as you walk straight there, no problem. Oops. Got to pick it up. Yeah, so I actually could have skipped an animation there, which would have saved us probably 5 seconds, where I can pick up the key while moving, weirdly. And that is because Manny is collapsing his scythe at the same time that he's picking it up. So the game doesn't really know what to do, and it just enables you to move. But because I walked away by accident a little bit, the animations weren't on top of each other like they're supposed to be. And I had to go through with the animation, but not a big deal. Now we got our gun, and we're approaching time here. All we have to do is you would think that we're going to use the gun on the big bad boss, but we're actually not. The boss is stuck into a greenhouse right now, and like we have said before, the fertilizer for the plants is attracted to bones. So we're actually going to shoot holes into the fertilizer jug here, causing the greenhouse to fill with fertilizer. And because he's bones, he's just going to explode. All right, time is coming up on the last input, which is me opening the door. Well, clicking to open the door. So get ready on time. And time.
GG.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so that's Grim Fandango. Excellent game. We're a small-ish community. We're growing a little bit by little bit here. We don't actually have a Discord yet because the game wasn't super popular to run until recently, where we've had a few runners pick it up. But we're going to be utilizing that soon. So if you're interested in running this game, for now you can just go onto our speedrun.com page, which is speedrun.com. Just search Grim Fandango Remastered, because there's the regular game and the remaster version. I forget which one the link goes to, but just go into the forum, post there, and we'll take care of you from there. In terms of guides, help, anything you want, and then we'll have a Discord open soon. But yeah, and then I'm Conception too, so if you want to follow me on Twitch or anything like that, that's perfectly acceptable as well. And I just want to thank everybody who has been donating to California Fire Foundation, and everyone who has helped put this amazing event on with the Calithon staff and the people who have assisted with setup and tech. I wanted to say thank you so much, and thank you folks so much for having me. It was just a blast to be here as both a runner and a host, so thank you so much.
We'll be moving over to get ready for RIP WSB with Flipping Death.